Alright everybody, let's start climbing down, getting ready for our last community meeting. So sad. Thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome back. Monday morning. Hope you all had a great weekend. Before we start, Alex and I would just like to shout out everyone on your executive council for all the hard work they've done this year, especially the VPs for putting on a great prom this weekend.
And of course, we can always forget the reps too. They've done a lot of great work this year. We're super proud of them. Give them also a round of applause. All the reps have done in the school year, and just thought you should recognize that.
And with that in mind, your elections for your next executive council will be next Tuesday, so you guys might start to see some campaigning around school or on social media. So think about who you want to be your leaders in the school next year.
Also, coming up, May 17th, we'll be having a talent show. Ooh. Yes, and there will be a prize, and there will be judges. So teachers and some faculty members will be the judges. We'll be putting up a sign-up poster. We'll be putting a sign-up poster in the caf where you can sign up there. And so get some friends. Only a group of 6 or smaller or less will be allowed to win the prize. And if you want to sign up a bigger group, that's totally cool. Just go for it.
So next Thursday, May 17th during lunch, there will actually be a winner and there will actually be a prize. All right, so first up we have our offering from Kelly Trowbridge. Well, first we have an announcement from Mr. Temple.
Hi everyone. Welcome to our last community meeting, and we need to pause and give Erica and Alex tremendous thank you. They have just been really wonderful student leaders this year, and we're in such good hands all year. So thank you for listening to all of us and working with everybody, and we really appreciate everything you've done. So the other thing I want to just mention is this is our last community meeting, so let's really be in community today. However, I also want to mention that on Friday during advisory, we will also come back as a community to do some follow-up from our class discussions last week. So I just wanted to make sure people knew that. But today, let's really concentrate on being together. We have an amazing offering, and here we go.
Before the offering, I want to make a quick announcement. My name is Kelly Trowbridge. I am the manager of the Academic Information System here at Lick. And I just want to remind the students that if you are contemplating a name change, to come start that process with either myself or your grade level dean, and we will help you get that done. Okay? That's it.
Thank you very much. All right, our next offering is from Asia Club. So if we could have Miss Yen come up, please. Or other Asia Club leaders.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Oh, okay. I can go there. Good morning, everyone. So May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, or API Month. And API Month celebrates and honors the culture, history, and tradition of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the U.S.
For this year's API Month, we have invited Dr. Fung to talk to us about the model minority myth. Though it affects our lives more directly, or some of our lives more directly than others, the model minority myth is a tool of white supremacy and has permeated into our culture and identities.
Because this presentation is short, we encourage everyone to join us during lunch in Room A to continue this discussion with Dr. Fung, Asia, SAME, and JSU leaders. We hope that the presentation today will start conversations about ways in which we can stand in solidarity with one another and find community across marginalized groups.
Now please help us welcome Dr. Fung, who, along with being the English teacher here at Lick, is a former president of the Circle for Asian American Literary Studies and a current member of Asians for Black Lives, an activist group that stands in solidarity with Black Lives Matter and Black liberation.
Hello. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak with you, because prior to teaching here at Lick, I actually spent many years teaching Asian American Studies at UC Davis, and so this is sort of right in my wheelhouse. I'm super excited about being able to talk about API-related stuff. And actually, I want to call this API DA month, actually, Asian Pacific Islander Desi American month, because we want to also acknowledge South Asians in this category as well. So today I'm going to talk about the model minority myth. And some of you might already know something about it, but I kind of just want to run through it. Again, this is a very, very quick. All right. So the model minority myth is the idea that because of markers like socioeconomic status and levels of education, a group is a, quote, model of success for other minority groups. And I just kind of wanted to throw up some images. I'm sure you're all very familiar with these stereotypes, right? Of Asians being nerdy and studious and successful, and they're taken over UC Berkeley, like all of that stuff, right? We've got various memes that have also kind of, poked fun at it. The text here is it's a screenshot from the Pew Research Center, and I kind of just want to read the language to give you an idea of what the model minority myth is about, right? It says, Asian Americans are the highest income, best educated, and fastest growing racial group in the United States. They are more satisfied than the general public with their lives, finances, and the direction of the country. And they place more value than other Americans do on marriage, parenthood, hard work, and career success, according to a comprehensive new nationwide survey by the Pew Research Center. I'm going to read this next paragraph too. A century ago, most Asian Americans were low-skilled, low-wage laborers, crowded into ethnic enclaves and targets of official discrimination. Today, they are the most likely of any major racial or ethnic group in America to live in mixed neighborhoods and to marry across racial lines. When newly minted medical school graduate Priscilla Chan married Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg last month, she joined the 37% of all recent Asian American brides who wed non-Asian grooms. So this is from the Pew Research Center, which is this government-funded research group that uses this kind of language, of course, to then talk about Asians as, highly educated, high income, but also, of course, all about assimilation, right? And they're also happy with the state of the country and so forth. So this is a familiar kind of stereotype and a familiar narrative, right, that gets produced even in sort of official channels like this. Here are just some, magazine covers from recent past, right, that kind of perpetuate this image as well. I do want to remind us, though, that the model minority myth is not something that has always existed. It's actually a fairly recent construction of Asian American identity, and prior to, kind of starting in like the 1960s, and I'll talk a little bit about why. But prior to this kind of stereotype, this was actually the predominant image of Asian Americans during their, since their immigration to the United States. Or before, Asians have actually existed in the Americas from before the United States actually was founded, since the 1600s actually. And for most of that history, this is what sort of has outlined Asian American history, right? So you can see some of these images here. The term I want to talk about is yellow peril or yellow terror. This terror, this idea that Asians have come to take over everything and are a danger to society. They're heathens, they eat rats, so on and so forth. These are just some highlights of exclusion acts specifically targeting Asians in America. The 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act being the first race-based immigration exclusion act to exist in US history. Asiatic barred zone, they kind of extended that, like all people from these parts of Asia cannot come, and that included South Asia. The 1924 Immigration Act was a national origins quota system that basically said, like, okay, certain countries cannot, like, people from certain countries cannot come to the United States. And this, of course, did not apply to Europe, right? Tidings McDuffie refers to the Philippines when the Philippines, which was a colony of the United States, got granted independence from us, but that basically meant that all people from the Philippines were now aliens ineligible for immigration, right? And of course, it was Executive Order 9066, which resulted in the internment of Japanese Americans. So I just kind of want to highlight, this is not an exhaustive list, right? Arguably, there was this onslaught of anti-immigration and anti-citizenship acts that were targeting Asians in particular, making them racially ineligible to be Americans. So anyway, my point here is to say that the history of the model minority myth, right? We need to historically contextualize the emergence of this model minority myth. In particular, the importance of the 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act. So while prior, for like the 19th century and the first part of the 20th century, you know, we talk about that as a period of Asian exclusion. 1965 changed things drastically for Asian America. So what this Immigration Act basically did, and this is what our current immigration system is still based on, is that it abolished the national origins quota system and replaced it with a quota by hemisphere. So, you know, and this was a result of civil rights, you know, legislation, because they sort of noted, like, well, if you know, set certain quotas for certain countries, that's basically racist, right? Especially if you say certain countries cannot let anybody in. Now, the 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act also set up a preference system based on two major things. One was family reunification, so that meant that any immediate family was exempt from the quota, the hemispheric quotas, and two is by profession. So if you were of exceptional ability, you were then given entrance into the country, or if you were of an occupation of short labor supply in the United States. So this was, again, all about labor. We want to remember, too, 1965, this is in the midst of the Cold War, right? So the United States had economic motivations for opening up the system of immigration so that professional migrants can come in to build our industrial infrastructure. And that is then why you have then, all of a sudden, after a long period of Asian exclusion, hordes of Asians coming in, right? I use that word hordes ironically, of course, you know, referring back to the Yellow Terror. But that's, you know, raise your hand if chances are your family was post-1965 immigrants. My family certainly was, right? And so that's why to this day, most Asians in America are post-1965 immigrants. All right, so then that makes sense, right? If you think about the professional preference, this is why we then have the stereotype of the Asian computer nerd, right? Because the kind of professions at this time that were privileged were largely in the sciences, right? Because this was, again, during the space race, during the Cold War, right? And so that's why then you have all of these Asian immigrants who are students coming in to work in those industries. So my point here is to say that more than individual hard work or culture or family values, what determines your quote-unquote success in America is largely structural, right? It's about the conditions of migration and settlement. Because there is a huge difference between coming to this country as a professional migrant on an H-1B visa, and you have money, educational capital, connections, you came here voluntarily, versus coming into this country as a refugee, right? Where you perhaps came in involuntarily, without resources, dependent on government sponsorship, and also with a whole lot of war trauma, right? There's a huge wide range of difference there in terms of your experience and how, quote unquote, successful you are going to be in American society. And so my point here too is to break the model minority, because both of these experiences are very much applicable to Asian Americans. Here's a slide that sort of just shows you some ways in which the model minority myth is indeed a myth, right? In particular, I want to focus on that one top fact up there in the corner. It says, in the Southeast Asian American community, 35 to 40% of Hmong, Laotian, and Cambodian populations do not finish high school. And I want to point that out because one thing about Asian Americans is we're a very heterogeneous group, right? That then encompasses all sorts of different histories. And if you disaggregate the data, meaning if you break up the group Asian American to different ethnic groups, you will see that certain groups do not fit the model minority myth at all, statistically speaking. When we're talking about levels of poverty, when we're talking about levels of education and income. And the reason for that, to highlight that particular group of Southeast Asians, is because that group largely did come indeed as refugees after the Vietnam War, right? So again, it's about your conditions of settlement and your conditions of migration, right? But the model minority myth also hides other facts about Asian American experience. Like, for example, that Asian American women actually experience the highest rates of suicide in the United States. And so things like that do not get put into consideration, right, when you perpetuate this idea that, you know, all Asian people are doing so well in this country, right? So the political implications of the model minority myth. It overlooks structural factors associated with immigration, like the fact that many post-1965 Asian Americans came already educated, right, because that was their means of migration. It denies the existence of systemic racism, because if you're attributing your success to only hard work and culture and family values, right, you're only sort of crediting yourself, right, for your reasons of quote-unquote success. And so then it denies any existence of systemic racism. It places a wedge between Asians and other people of color, right? One example being the debate on affirmative action, right? Oftentimes Asians get sort of used as the example for why we don't need affirmative action, because obviously if the Asians have done so well, then there's no such thing as racism, right? So what this does is it undermines solidarity. It's used specifically to break up people of color so that they cannot, come together to fight for justice, right? It basically uses Asian Americans as a means to buttress white supremacy, right? And I will say, like, a lot of Asian Americans, even many in my own family, uphold this myth. Because of course, right, it's self-congratulatory. Everyone wants to feel good about their success in America. And, but what that does is just perpetuates this notion of America being a meritocracy, right? And it undermines the acknowledgement of the racism and discrimination that Asian Americans do indeed face. Right? I think this, with the model minority myth is also the idea that Asians are going to keep quiet and not rock the boat. So that means that if there is actual injustice that you're facing, there is a less likelihood that you're going to feel like your voice is going to be heard. Right? So in sum, the point that I want to make is that the model minority myth is dangerous and damaging. And it's something that I hope that we can dismantle gradually. So, come discuss with me during lunch today in room A. I'm also making myself available Tuesday and Thursday as well for any additional conversations you'd like to have. I'll just be hanging out in the caf, like at the center. So just stop by if you want to talk about any of this stuff. This is just super quick intro. I could totally do an entire course on the model minority myth. This doesn't quite do it service, but I'm definitely available to talk about this stuff at any time.
All right, thank you for that wonderful presentation. Next up, we have an offering from Girls Who Code.
Hi everyone, so I'm Juliana. I'm one of the co-presidents of Girls Who Code Club, and this year we've been working on a competition for an outside of school project called Technovation. And so the whole year, our club members have been working on an app that they submitted to the competition, and we're going to find out the results later in May. But right now we're going to have them present on what they've been doing this semester. And they've put in a lot of work, so please give them your whole attention.
So just quick introductions. I'm Hannah, I'm a junior.
I'm Ilva, I'm a sophomore.
I'm Christy, I'm a junior.
And I'm Patricia, I'm also a junior. Right, so our mission, SafeNet's mission is to give people peace of mind when they feel they may enter a threatening or dangerous situation.
Our solution was to create this app, which basically, when the app is open, the user can enter in an emergency contact and also estimate the amount of time it will take for them to arrive at a destination. And so when they arrive at the destination, they can turn the alarm off, but if something happens before they arrive, the app will guess that the user is in danger and will notify the emergency contact by calling them, sending them a text message of their last location, as well as a recording.
So we did some research on some other apps that did similar things, and our main competitor is called Be Safe, but we still found some factors that still made our app unique. First thing is that our app functions wirelessly, so if any students, for example, are taking BART, going home or to school, this app still works. It also records your location, so if you ever press the SOS button, it'll tell your emergency contact your last location. Also, if you press the SOS button, it will record audio or a video in case of an emergency, and it also immediately notifies your emergency contacts. Our competitor app, Be Safe, kind of has a problem where the emergency contact has to also download the app, whereas for us, it just sends a text message or calls the emergency contact.
This is the starting page of the app SafeNet. Once the user presses next, the instructions page pops up, informing the user of how to use the app. The menu button at the top left-hand corner allows the user to move between the screens displayed. In settings, the user can choose which emergency contacts they would like and when they would like to be notified of the alarm. In this case, our user presses 1 minute. After pressing done, the screen will switch to the home page, where there is an SOS button for emergencies and a set timer button. When the set timer button is pressed, a screen is displayed. This screen enables the user to estimate the amount of time it will take to arrive at their destination. Once the timer is started, the user will be notified of when the alarm will sound, depending on the notifications chosen in the settings page. Because the user chose a 1-minute notification before, the user will receive an alert at the 1-minute mark. After the timer runs out of time, the app assumes that the user is in danger. If the user is not, they can press cancel. In this case, the timer runs out of time and the screen goes to a different page. On this screen, the app calls the user's emergency contact. Once the call is over, a camcorder pops up so that the user can videotape the situation. The app also sends the user's last location to the emergency contact. When the user is not using the alarm, they can look at the About Us page, as well as a page where they can make donations to different organizations. Finally, if they are in danger but the timer is not on, they can press the SOS button on the home page, which goes straight to the camcorder and notifies their emergency contact. Thank you for listening.
So that was our demo video. So for next year, we're hoping for more people to join Girls in Code, and hopefully this was like an inspiration for those of you who are going to continue next year to make an app. And so we've gotten permission from the center for this project to be a 40 hours project. So freshmen, they'll be sophomores next year, if you want to do that. And so we are not just searching for coders. This is open to business planners, logo designers, and entrepreneurs, or coders if you'd like. So we want a diverse group of people, and anyone who identifies as female can join this program. Thank you.
A really awesome app. Nice. Okay, so we'd like to welcome up Kaba Club.
Hi all! We are the leaders of Kaba Club. My name is Samantha.
I'm Shannon. I'm Ambika.
And I'm Elena.
Kaba strives to promote unity and appreciation of the Filipino culture by bringing awareness and knowledge of various traditions and customs to the community.
And with this video, we just wanted to give you all a glimpse into the culture and beauty of the Philippines, her people, and its heritage.
Graced by dazzling beaches, island hopping, and water sports, the Philippines has long attracted foreign visitors. But there's far more to these islands than sand and snorkeling. Beyond the coastline are places of a different nature. Mystical tribal villages full of different cultures. Ancient rice terraces carved into mountains. Jungle-smothered peaks. And Spanish colonial churches. The Philippines is a Southeast Asian country in the Western Pacific, comprised of over 7,000 islands with 8 major dialects. The archipelago is grouped into 3 major islands: Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Mindanao is the second largest island in the Philippines. This massive and stunningly beautiful island at the foot of the Philippine archipelago, is in many ways the cultural heart of the country. A place where indigenous tribes still farm their ancient homelands. The island is known for many of its spiritual and beautiful attractions. Bongao Peak is a revered pilgrimage site for Christians and Muslims. Camagüey, a white island, is a sandbar of white powdery sands surrounded by clear turquoise water.
The Visayas is rich in history and culture. The densely populated island group consists of an ethno-linguistic region defined by 3 major languages: Cebuano, Hiligaynon, and Waray-Waray. The islands are home to beautiful waterfalls, the ubiquitous jeepney, and food markets bursting with flavors.
Luzon leads the country in industry and agriculture and is populated with more than half of the Filipinos of the 3 major islands. Culturally, this is the Philippines at its most diverse, as it's notable for a melange of language and ritual.
Family is the foundation of the Filipino culture, and they pride themselves in being welcoming and hospitable, are inherently optimistic, and if you ever decide to visit our beloved country, you will feel the Bayanihan community spirit permeating.
And so now, everybody can just pull out your phone or a piece of paper and a pencil. Alright, so on May 16th, which is a Wednesday, day 4, during lunch in room 5, Cabo Club will be having their last meeting this year, so we hope to see some of you guys out there, and we hope to see some of you guys next year as well. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Next up, we have our last spotlight video of 2018. The seniors' last spotlight ever. Enjoy. Thank you. Shout out to our community networkers, Ryan and Silvana, who made some of the best spotlight videos I've seen in life. Enjoy.
Take my shoes and walk a mile, so that you can't do. Hey, big talks of the town, big boy game moves, game moves. I like to walk around with my chain loose. She's part of me, we got the same moves, look at them dope scientists. Get your specking diamonds. I bought a plain Jane, rolling deep, bought they vein. I think my back got stolen. Life for that brand new chain. I heard think it came with stripes, but you ain't straight with the game. Walk it like I'm talking. 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 Let's go. Walk it like I'm talking. Walk it like I'm talking. Walk it
networkers. Loved it.
All right, so if you guys have any announcements, come on up. Today, Riley Soto and Julia Hatfield will be doing our cutoffs. Riley Soto and Julia Hatfield will be reading out all of the nations of the world. All right, here we go.
Hello, Lick-Wilmerding. All right, so earlier this year we made an announcement saying that we are pretty cool, and that's just not true. We would like to apologize, okay? It's very selfish of us. We'd like to acknowledge that you're all pretty cool. Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Tuvia. I am a junior. This semester I've been doing an independent study on political conversations, how to talk honestly and productively about politics, and running workshops both Tuesday and Wednesday during PPP time. If you're interested, come talk to me. Thank you.
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic Dominican.
There will be a boys volleyball club meeting this Friday at lunch in the lower biochem room. If you're interested, please show up.
Hello, we are the LL leaders. My name is Annette.
Sabrina. Olympia.
And Alex is somewhere over there probably. So the LL leadership signups are up. If you get the LL emails, you have it already. And if you want to sign up, please let us know. We are looking specifically for incoming sophomores. That would be great. And juniors, if you're a junior, apply as well. Anyway.
Okay, separate announcement. Hi guys. So the senior reps are going to be running a service project during the next 2 weeks. We're starting today. We're collecting new and gently used children's books.
Yeah, the Children's Book Project is an organization that distributes more than 100,000 books to children who need them.
Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still.
The donation bins are going to be outside the center, so come on. Thank you.
Costa Rica, Belize.
Hello, we are all part of GSA, and Liquid Pride is happening this Thursday, May 10th, tutorial and lunch. Please bake something or buy something and support Chechen refugees from Russia. Thank you.
It's gonna be gay. Okay, tomorrow at Skyline is senior night for baseball. Come out and support your boys. Also, special announcement to Macy Amos. Will you go to Grow with me?
And the seniors on our team for the baseball team are Bob, Kieran,
Costa Rica, Belize, Nicaragua, Bermuda.
Bahamas, Tobago, Juan, Eric.
This is an announcement directed toward the seniors real quick. So, letters for the time capsule are due today, but we're gonna extend the deadline. What day are we going till?
May 10th, this Thursday. They can be about anything. Senior year, your life in general. Please write them. We want
Norway, Sweden, and Iceland, and Finland, and Germany now.
Peace.
Hi, I'm Anna, and I'm one of the students going on the Senegal trip this year. We're looking for donation of over-the-counter pain medications, bandages, Band-Aids, anything. There will be bins in front of the center, or you can come talk to me. Thank you.
Super fast, this is for the seniors. Don't forget that the senior video shoot is happening tomorrow from 11 to 2 in the Mac Lab, not in the archives, in the Mac Lab. See you there. Even if you haven't signed up, just go. Thanks.
All right, PPP Day is tomorrow and Wednesday. Frosh, day of service. Your groups are listed outside of the center and in an email. There's a CPR training, all kinds of stuff going on. So yes, PPP Day is this week.
I'm Finn, I'm a freshman. My favorite animal is a porcupine.
I'm Parker, and my favorite animal is an armadillo.
I'm Davis, my favorite animal is a sloth.
I'm Theo, my favorite animal is an orca. Tomorrow, Livermore at 7 o'clock.
Which is the announcement? Czechoslovakia, Italy, Turkey, Greece, Poland, Romania, Scotland, Albania, Ireland.
Hi, my name is Sophia, and I'm hosting a Happy Period event tomorrow's Tuesday. And basically we bag period products and then give them to homeless people on the streets. So if you want to participate in that, there's a sign-up sheet by the center. If you can't participate but you still want to help, you can donate period products out by the center.
Bulgaria, Saudi Arabia, Hungary, Cyprus, Iraq, and Iran.
Hi, I'm John. I'm Evan. We have a first round of NCS for tennis tomorrow here at City, so let's support.
One last announcement, seniors, this Thursday during the break in the CAF, Mr. King and I will be handing you your graduation announcements. So you are supplied with 10 to send to family members. So just come by, make sure you pick up your graduation announcements. Break Thursday in the CAF.
Thank you guys for a great year.